By 2026, Ross Miami McGill's empire in Dubai is going to take over the UK cocaine trade. From his Dubai Hills mansion, he is preparing to unleash shipments bigger than anything Scotland has ever seen. But he is not going to do it alone. Just around the corner from his mansion lives Steven Larwood, a flashy dealer with global contacts who is keeping the supply chain alive. With Steven Larwood by his side, they are building a network stretching thousands of miles. They are planning to get cocaine from Colombia, Ecuador, and Brazil, funnel it through Spain's ports, and then ferry it into Britain by the ton. Right now, they are making up to £3 million a month, but that number is going to increase in 2026. These two Scots are hiding in luxury in Dubai, while Scotland is burning. And if no one stops them, 2026 will be theirs. But what is Ross McGill's deadly plan for the next year? And how is Steven Larwood going to help him? Steven Larwood is not a name that was too famous in Scotland, but maybe that was the whole point. While bigger crime figures courted fear and fame, Larwood kept himself in the background. That was how he built his fortune. Quietly. He was never the gangster with a reputation for carrying machetes or ordering firebombs himself. He was the man who made sure the cocaine was there, packed, shipped, and ready to sell, and that made him just as dangerous. Lawwood's story began in Kirkintilloch, just outside Glasgow. To most locals, he looked like a businessman. He ran Harper Vending Limited, which is a vending machine company that looks legitimate on paper. And for a while, it worked as a cover. But underneath the snack machines, he was part of something bigger. In 2007, the mask finally slipped. Police raided a packaging depot and found him with £250,000 worth of cocaine. That kind of haul was not a small change. It was proof that Larwood was already trusted in serious circles. He was convicted and jailed for 4 years. It was a short sentence considering the weight of the drugs involved. Most people would expect prison to break someone like him, but when Larwood walked out, he didn't vanish into obscurity. He went straight back to his old ways. Only this time, he played it smarter. This time, he avoided being too public. He avoided fights for dominance in Glasgow's brutal street wars. Instead, he quietly built connections. Larwood reached out to international suppliers and figured out how to keep money rolling in without drawing police attention. And while he avoided headlines for years, he did not hide his wealth. In 2016, Larwood staged one of the most extravagant weddings imaginable. On the island of Santorini in Greece, he flew in with his bride in a helicopter, stepping out in style. Pictures of the day showed exactly the kind of life he was living. He lives a lavish and expensive life, funded by cocaine profits. That event was the act of a man celebrating how untouchable he felt. After a spell in Spain, Larwood moved to Dubai. And this is where his story collided with Ross Miami McGill. By 2025, Larwood had set up in Dubai Hills, one of the city's most exclusive estates. The irony is that his new home was just minutes away from McGill's own mansion. Two men from Scotland, both with criminal records, both accused of running multi-million-pound drug networks, now living as neighbours in the desert. That's everything you need to know about how global Scotland's underworld has become. So why Dubai? The answer is simple. The United Arab Emirates does not have an extradition treaty with the UK. For men like Lawwood and McGill, Dubai is a fortress. They can live openly, drive luxury cars, host parties, and enjoy every penny of their bloodstained profits without worrying about police arriving with handcuffs. Dubai has become the new playground for narco-exiles, and these two Scots are perfect examples. Now, let's be clear, Lawwood and McGill are not just sipping cocktails and playing golf. From Dubai, they are still active. According to underworld sources, they are overseeing drug shipments worth £2 to £3 million every month. But how do they pull it off? The routes are well established. Cocaine leaves Colombia and Ecuador, travels to Spain, and from there, it is pushed into the UK market. It is an operation that stretches across at least 4 countries, and Lawwood is the man making sure the logistics never fail. He lines up the shipments, secures the transport, and guarantees the supply. McGill, on the other hand, handles the distribution and the muscle. It's a deadly partnership. One controls the drugs, the other controls the streets. But to understand how Larwood ended up in this role, you have to go back to his ties with another giant of Scotland's underworld, Jamie Iceman Stevenson. Stevenson was once the king of cocaine trafficking in Scotland. He built a network that brought drugs in on an industrial scale. In 2020, he tried to smuggle cocaine worth around £100 million. hidden in banana boxes shipped from Ecuador to a Glasgow fruit market. When Stevenson was jailed, his empire passed contacts down to trusted men. One of them was Steven Larwood. Those introductions, including suppliers in South America, couriers in Spain, gave Lawwood the chance to step up from mid-level dealer to international operator. That explains why Larwood's name has suddenly re-emerged now. He is now a partner in one of the most powerful drug pipelines still running into Scotland. And that pipeline is directly tied to the wave of violence that has rocked the country in the past 2 years. This is where Ross McGill's role comes in. McGill was once a Union Bears leader for Rangers FC fans. Now he is accused of orchestrating Scotland's latest Gangland war. From his villa in Dubai, he has been calling the shots in a feud that set Glasgow and Edinburgh alight. The spark was a £500,000 cocaine deal gone bad, where fake cash was used. McGill blamed Mark Richardson's crew, and the war began. Firebombings, machete attacks, shootings, even assassination attempts. Police say more than 40 people have been targeted in attacks linked to McGill's orders. And behind that chaos is a steady flow of cocaine. Without Lawwood, those shipments would not move so smoothly. McGill can send as many foot soldiers as he wants, but if the drugs dry up, the money dries up too. Lawwood makes sure that doesn't happen. He keeps the supply chain alive, even while McGill uses violence to hold territory. Think about that. From 2 luxury villas in Dubai, these men are feeding a machine that stretches from the jungles of Colombia to the nightclubs of Glasgow. Police have already launched Operation Portaledge to tackle the violence. More than 50 arrests have been made, firearms, explosives, and millions in drug cash have been seized. But the leaders remain untouchable. They are watching the whole thing from their mansions thousands of miles away. Steven Larwood's power doesn't come from brute force. It comes from who he knows. In the criminal underworld, survival is often about connections, and Larwood's list of allies includes the top tier of Scotland's organised crime. Start with the Gillespie brothers. James and Barry Gillespie were once Scotland's most notorious drug barons. They used to run a network so big it stretched from South America to Europe. And then they vanished in 2019. The gossip was that it was because of cartel revenge, a betrayal abroad, or maybe they are still alive in hiding. Whatever the truth, their disappearance left a hole. But their business didn't simply vanish. The supply routes, the contacts, the money lines, those remained. And who had access to them? It was Steven Larwood. He was plugged into the Gillespie structure, a trusted figure who could carry on the flow even as the bosses disappeared. It's no exaggeration to say Larwood became one of the keepers of their legacy. Then there is James the Don White, a man who rose when the Gillespies fell. White thought he could outsmart authorities with elaborate smuggling schemes, like shipping cocaine hidden in industrial solar panels. His right-hand man, Paul Fleming, kept things running until the law finally caught up with them both. They are behind bars now, but the web they built didn't collapse. Lawwood was tied into that circle, and when White and Fleming were taken down, he didn't sink with them, he absorbed contacts. He kept the doors to South America open. And that tells you exactly what kind of operator he island. He is the man who never lets the business stop. What makes this even more chilling is how cleverly Lawwood has positioned himself. He doesn't need to fight for turf in Scotland. He doesn't need to put himself on the front line. He leaves that chaos to others while he oversees the bigger picture. He is not chasing short-term wins. He maintains international supply routes that entire gangs depend on. And that makes him untouchable in a way local enforcers will never be. Police admit this is their nightmare scenario. They can arrest soldiers, they can seize cash, they can raid homes in Scotland. But Lawwood is overseas, tied into multiple criminal networks, living in a country with no extradition treaty. In this scenario, he is not just one step ahead, he is continents ahead. And with ties to Stevenson's old contacts, the Gillespie legacy, and McGill's violent enforcement machine, he is sitting right in the centre of Scotland's drug trade while technically being out of reach. The connections also explain why Lawwood has lasted where others have fallen. White is in jail, Fleming is in jail, Stevenson is in jail, even the Gillespies may be dead, but Lawwood is still free. His ties allowed him to absorb pieces of all their empires, to step in when others were gone. He is kind of the glue holding together fractured crime families. And these ties are still active today. Lawwood is still overseeing the cocaine shipments out of Spain, still handling the money flowing into the UK, and the routes first mapped by Stevenson and the Gillespies. And Ross McGill's turf war is still being bankrolled by that same flow. When you connect the dots, you will realise that Lawwood is not operating on the edges of Scottish organised crime. He is sitting at its core. This is why he is such a dangerous figure. In an underworld where most bosses either get killed or jailed, Lawwood has managed to inherit pieces of everyone's empire. That web of connections, stretching from South America to Spain, from Glasgow to Dubai, is what keeps him in power. And until those ties are broken, he will keep Scotland's cocaine trade alive, no matter how much blood it spills back home. Steven Larwood might look untouchable in his Dubai fortress, but that's an illusion that gets weaker every month. The violence in Scotland has put his name and Ross McGill's right in the spotlight. Operations like Portaledge have already swept up dozens of soldiers, and now the trail is creeping closer toward the men pulling strings overseas. And let's not forget, the underworld doesn't forgive chaos forever. Lawwood and McGill's flashy lifestyles may look secure, but rivals don't care about Dubai Hills' luxury walls. Powerful figures in Europe and South America are already frustrated that their war has drawn so much heat, and it is risking entire supply lines. Pressure is not just coming from the police. It is coming from fellow criminals who don't want their business burned down. So will Lawwood and McGill fall to a police takedown, or will enemies inside the underworld strike first? Tell us your prediction in the comment section below. And before you go, make sure to subscribe to our channel for more updates on this gang war. Goodbye for now.